Ready?
Order, all rise.
Good morning. Everyone can be seated.
Oyez, oyez, oyez. Anyone having business before the King's Justice of the Superior Court of Justice, draw near and you shall be heard. Long live the King.
All right. Is the accused present in the room?
Yes.
Please rise.
Ring Gomer, you stand charged that on or about the 31st day of December 2022 in the city of Mariposa in the county of Misinava, you committed an unlawful act to wit, assault with a weapon, cause of death of Avery Lee, thereby committing manslaughter contrary to Section 236. How do you say to this charge? Do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Okay. So for the jury today, there is a charge that has been levied against Mr. Gomer, and that is of manslaughter causing death of someone named Avery Lee. At the end of the trial, your responsibility is going to be to determine whether the Crown has been able to prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt not only that the action was guilty, but that the mind was guilty while the action occurred. If there's any doubt in your mind, then the expectation is that you will acquit, you will find the accused not guilty. Okay, Crown, you guys can make your opening statements.
Good morning, Your Honor, and members of the court. My name is Reed, and this is my co-counsel, Layla, Lester, Dimitri, and Hugo. This is the Crown's opening statement regarding the case against the accused. The accused, Ray Gomer, is charged with manslaughter causing the death of Avery Lee. The Crown will present evidence to show that on the night of December 31st, 2022, an unlawful act committed by the accused resulted in the death of Avery Lee. This opening statement outlines what the Crown expects the evidence will show. The evidence will show that on New Year's Eve, both the accused, Ray Gomer, and the victim, Avery Lee, attended a lounge in Mariposa known as Jazzy Blue. Throughout the evening, witnesses observed tension between the two, and an argument occurred inside the establishment, and the two eventually left through the east exit door after 1:30 a.m. At approximately that time, a 911 call was made in place reporting a disturbance near the exit. When police arrived, they discovered Avery Lee lying on the ground, unresponsive, with signs of significant chest trauma. Paramedics later confirmed that Avery Lee had died from injuries consistent with blunt force impact. The Crown will introduce several pieces of physical evidence collected at the scene and during the investigation. Such evidence includes a blood-stained frying pan that was found near the body, a piece of green fabric located near the victim, and a piece of yellow or gold fabric was found caught on a nearby fence. Also, clothing and shoes seized from the accused's residence containing blood and material consistent with what was found at the scene. The Crown will call witnesses whose testimony will establish what occurred that night. Detective Sergeant Jorah Augustus, the lead investigator, will describe the crime scene, the evidence called, and the accused statements to police. Dofi Cujo will testify that Ray Gomer was the last person seen with Avery Lee before the altercation outside. Additional medical and forensic evidence will confirm the nature of the injuries and the likely cause of death. While the Crown is not required to prove motive, the evidence will illustrate an escalating conflict between the accused and the deceased earlier that night. The Crown expects that the evidence will show an argument between the accused and Avery Lee escalated into a physical confrontation. During this unlawful assault, the accused used a frying pan or similar object as a weapon, and the force of this blow caused injuries that led directly to Avery Lee's death. The Crown will argue that these actions satisfy the legal requirements for manslaughter as the death occurred during the commission of an unlawful act. The Crown bears the burden of proof and the accused's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The Crown will rely on physical evidence, witness testimony, and a totality of circumstances to meet that burden. These are the facts the Crown intends to establish. At the conclusion of the evidence, the Crown will submit that the only reasonable finding that the accused, Ray Gomer, unlawfully caused the death of Avery Lee. Your Honor, the Crown found ready to go first witness. Go ahead.
Honor, I would like to call Detective Sergeant Joe Augustus to the stand.
Will you state your name to the court, please?
Jorah Augustus,
Please spell out your name to the court.
Jorahaugustus.
Do you swear that the evidence to be given by you to this court between our sovereign and the king and the accused shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you great God?
Yes, I do.
Detective Sergeant, how long have you been a police officer?
I've been a police officer for 22 years now.
And for how long have you worked specifically as a detective?
For 6 years, and I was recently promoted as Detective Sergeant September 9th, 2022.
And how many homicide investigations have you been lead investigator on?
First 3, but I've been a part of many other criminal investigations.
So, what were you doing the morning of Sunday, January 1st, 2023?
I was on duty when the patrol officers responded to a 911 call at Jazzy Blues for a homicide of Avery Lee, 29 years old, and they cordoned off the property, and I later went
And at what time did you arrive at the scene?
at 2 a.m.
So, what kind of event is happening at the Jazzy Blues cocktail lounge that night?
So since it was New Year's Eve, it was a dinner party and a dance, and there were holiday colors like green, gold, blue, and red.
Can you describe what you observed regarding the person later identified as Avery Lee?
She was lying on the ground at the east exit.
And what injuries or trauma did you notice on this person?
She had trauma to the chest area and later fell over a pipe, which caused further trauma.
What clothing was she wearing?
She was wearing a red dress shirt and black pants.
Did you observe any items of interest in the general area?
Yes, right beside her was a piece of fabric that seemed to be a part of a larger piece of clothing, but it wasn't a part of what she was wearing, so I did take that into evidence.
And what was the accused, Gomer, said to be wearing that night of the incident?
A green shirt.
And what color was this piece of fabric right next to Lee?
It was green.
Now, what else did you observe in the scene?
I observed a frying pan that seemed to have dried blood on it, so I also took that into evidence.
Okay, thank you. What did you do after you collected the frying pan as evidence?
I walked around the crime scene, and further away, I saw a piece of either yellow or gold fabric that seemed to be caught on the chain link fence, and then I drew a diagram of the place, and I took that into evidence as well.
Did you end up speaking to anybody at the scene? Were there any witnesses?
Yes, I did speak to Blake Benvolio, who did say the last person he saw speaking to Avery Lee was one Rain Gomer.
Who is Blake Benvolio?
He's the owner of the Jazzy Blues.
Based on your investigation at this point, who is the main person of interest?
It was Rain Gomer.
And what factors led you to identify him as this person?
There were a few factors, one of them being that he was the last person seen speaking to Avery Lee. The other one being that Blake Benvolio did mention that only a few people knew about the east exit, him being one of them, and that the piece of fabric beside Avery Lee, the green fabric, seemed to match what he was wearing that night.
Due to this suspicion, what did you do next?
I went to Rain Gomer's apartment at around 4 a.m.
And what happened?
He didn't answer.
So what did you do because of that?
I got a search warrant and it was approved at 7 a.m. and I later went back to his residence at 7:30.
What happened this time?
He did answer, but he seemed very tired and he had an ice pack on his face, and when I asked him to remove the ice pack, he had visible bruising on the right side of his jaw.
What did he have to say about what happened at the Jazzy Blues?
He said he denied harming Lee and said he had no knowledge of what happened at the east end of the building.
And what was his explanation about the bruising on his jaw?
He said that while arguing with Avery Lee, he was punched from someone from the left side.
How could he be punched from someone on the left side if he was bruised on the right side of his jaw?
I don't know, it didn't make sense to me.
Why can Gomer remember being punched in the face but have no memory of the incident?
I don't know, but it did seem like pretty convenient timing.
Moving on. What, if anything, did you find when executing the search warrant?
So the patrol officers did find found his green sweater and brown pants and shoes, and they had blood on them, so I did all take that into evidence as well.
May I introduce the wait, since what was on?
Does the defense have any issues with this being called into evidence?
No.
Can you read what was highlighted on the page, please?
Yes, it says the blood on Rain Gomer's green turtleneck contains mixed DNA from Rain Gomer and Avery Lee.
And what does this indicate to you as an investigator?
So this puts Rain Gomer at the crime scene and indicates that they did make contact with the victim, Avery Lee.
What charges were laid against Ruth Gomer and on what date?
So based on the totality of the evidence, we did have reasonable grounds to arrest Rain Gomer for manslaughter on Monday, January 2nd, 2023.
How many days after that was he charged?
But it was one day after.
Okay, thank you, Detective. No further questions.
Same.
Would the defense like to cross-examine?
Yeah.
Go for it. So start when you start.
Detective, you've only worked for us as a detective for 6 years, correct?
Yes, but I was a police for 22 years prior to that.
And you were recently promoted to detective sergeant, weren't you?
Yes, on September 9th.
That's a lot of pressure. And this was only the third homicide investigation in which you've been leading.
But like I said before, I was a part of many other investigations, and being a cop for 22 years gives me a lot of experience in the force.
Right, but as a lead investigator.
Yes, it was my third one as a lead investigator.
So you're still relatively new to leading homicide cases.
Leading, yes, but not being a part of them. I've done that a lot.
Let's talk about the crime scene. You arrived at the crime scene around 2 a.m., correct?
Yes, correct.
And by that point, patrol officers had already been there for 30 minutes, correct?
Yes, and they cordoned off the property.
So the scene had already been disturbed by first responders by the time you got there.
Yes, they did look around.
You did not personally witness what happened to Avery, is that correct?
No, I wasn't there.
And you can't say for sure when the trauma occurred?
No, not the exact time.
And you found a piece of green fabric on the ground, correct?
Yes, but right beside Avery Lee.
And you can't say with certainty who that clock belonged to.
No, but it was most definitely, or it could have been Rain Gomer's.
So most definitely it could have been.
It could have been Rain Gomer's, but he was the last person seen speaking to Avery Lee, so it makes
You
sense
never
that it
saw
was
the
his.
clock, sorry, you never saw the clock as attached physically to any particular clothing, did you?
It doesn't.
Okay. You didn't perform any field tests to confirm the clock actually came from Mr. Gomer's clothing, did you?
No, I didn't.
And you had no forensic results when you formed your initial suspicion?
No, I didn't.
And you also found a piece of gold fabric on the fence.
It was either yellow or gold, and it was further away from the
So
body.
you took it as evidence, but yellow or gold?
Yes.
So following the dress code of the evening, gold, red, green, blue,
Mm-hmm.
both fabrics would have been torn and found on the same night, correct?
Yes.
And in the same area where everything was found.
One was much closer to Avery Lee, the other one was farther on the fence, like I mentioned.
And despite discovering the gold fabric early in your investigation, you didn't pursue meaningful forensic testing or investigation on it. You instead focused on the green fabric, which could have come from Mr. Gomer's clothing, correct?
Yeah, but that wasn't the only reason I focused on that. When I did interview Blake Benvolio, there was other reasons why Rain Gomer was the prime suspect.
So you admit you focused on the green more than gold.
But that's not all I focused on. I focused on the fact that he was the last person seen speaking to Avery Lee wearing a green piece of clothing,
Okay.
so it would make sense, yes.
So you also relied heavily on information from Mr. Benvolio, didn't you?
No, there was also other evidence, but
And he's not a trained investigator, is he?
no, but he knew Rain Gomer was the last person to be seen speaking.
And all the information you retrieved from him was during a brief interview, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I got a decent amount of information.
You considered Mr. Gomer a primary suspect before you spoke to him, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you focused on him largely because he was last seen with Avery.
And because of the green fabric, and because he was one of the other people who knew about the East exit, while not many people knew about that.
And Mr. Benvolio also told you that other regulars knew about the East exit, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And you arrived at Mr. Gomer's residence at 4 a.m. originally, correct?
Yes, and he wasn't awake at that time, so that's why I got a search warrant.
So when he opened the door at 7:30, you observed him as sleep-ridden, didn't you? He was
As-
sleep-ridden,
Yeah,
He
he
was
was.
tired.
Yeah,
He was
he was tired.
and he also appeared injured.
Yeah, when I asked him to remove the ice pack, he did have bruising on the right side of his
So
body.
he was lost.
Yeah.
And he professed to you that he had no knowledge of the incident in the East exit besides arguing with Avery before being punched.
Yeah, which is knowledge of what happened.
So when he
before.
removed his ice pack, the bruising we found was consistent with what he said was punched?
Not exactly, because he did say he was punched on the left side and the bruising was on the right side, so it didn't really make exact sense to me.
You charged Mr. Gomer on January 2nd,
Yes, that's correct.
and the decision was based on, in your words, totality of limited early stage evidence.
Not of evidence that we found, yes.
In the early stages, it was within 2 days, less than 2 days.
Yes.
So you agree that this evidence was also largely circumstantial?
No, I don't agree. I think that there was a good amount of evidence that made Rain Gomer the lead suspect.
And he repeatedly denied harming Miss Lee, is that correct too?
He did deny harming Miss Lee, but they first denied him.
No further questions.
Thank you.
Kind of like regret.
Yes, Your Honor. Alright, Detective Sergeant, can you please restate the reasons why you decided that Rain Gomer was your main person of interest?
Yeah, so there was 3 reasons. One of them being that when I did talk to Blake Benvolio, he said that the last person seen speaking to Avery Lee was Rain Gomer. The other reason being that only a few regulars knew about the east exit, Rain Gomer being one of them. And lastly, being that the piece of green fabric seemed to have matched what Rain Gomer was wearing that night, and the fact that he was the last person to speak to Avery Lee.
And can you explain what happened after, when you got the search warrant, what happened after that? Again,
We did search the place and we found the green turtleneck, and we found that on the green turtleneck there was blood on both, there was blood that had DNA from both Avery Lee and Rain Gomer, so it means that he had to be there while the crime was committed.
why do you think you were able to obtain the search warrant?
Because there was reasonable grounds to search.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you.
Crown want to call their second witness.
I would like to call up,
Please state your name to the record.
Sophie Gujo,
Please spell out your name to the record.
G-O-F-I-K-U-T-J-O-E.
Do you swear that the evidence to be given by you to this court between our sovereign, the king, and the accused shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Mr. Cujo, could you tell the court about yourself, including your age and what you do for work?
My name is Sophie Cujo. I am 30 years old and I work for the Misanaba Architects as an architect.
And what kinds of activities or hobbies do you take part of outside of work?
I like to do competitive rugby and I also like to curl.
And how long have you been with Misanaba Architects?
I've been with the Misanaba Architects for around 5 years, so since I was 25.
And how did you spend the evening of December 31st before going to the annual Jazzy Blues party?
Well, me and the Misanaba Architects went curling before that.
Could you please tell the court what you were wearing on the day of the incident?
On the day of the incident, I was wearing a gold crew neck sweater, black and white striped pants, and gray dress shoes.
And what time did you arrive at Jazzy Blues?
I arrived at Jazzy Blues around 11:30 p.m.
Can you describe what the atmosphere at Jazzy Blues was like when you first arrived?
When I arrived, it was quite busy, as in the lounge there were only around 5 servers going around and serving drinks.
Where did you situate yourself once you got inside and what was happening around you?
I situated myself in the lounge at the end of a couch, and there was somebody sitting next to me in the middle of the couch.
And could you tell us about the person who was sitting next to you on the sofa? What did you know about that?
I noticed that they were wearing a dark green long sleeve shirt, and they were talking to one of the servers about something.
And how did you become involved in their interaction?
So after around 10 minutes, I interrupted because I wanted a cocktail. After all, it's a cocktail lounge. So I waited 10 minutes, and then I interrupted them.
And what was the person's sitting beside you's reaction when you interrupted the conversation?
The person actually threatened me. They cursed at me, and they said that holding their fist in like closed fist, said that they would knock me out next time that I interrupted them, and that they didn't know who they were dealing with or talking to.
And how did the bartender or server respond to the situation?
Well, the waiter first told them to calm down and like chill out, but they also were pretty rude to me in my opinion. I just wanted a cocktail.
All right. And when you went to make calls, where did you go?
I went out to the east exit.
And when you went out to the exit, what did you observe happening there?
I noticed that the person in the green long sleeve was talking pretty intensely in a conversation with someone in a red shirt.
And how would you describe the interaction between the person in the green shirt and the person in the black shirt?
They were arguing over something. It seemed like the person in the green shirt was really angry, while the person in the red shirt was crying about something that they were saying. And then they started yelling all of a sudden, and it was a little bit too loud for me to take my calls.
All right. After you made your calls, what did you notice of the family? How did that affect the family?
After I made the calls, it was around 12:45, and I knew that the Missinab architects that I was with earlier in the evening, that they would be going to some late night bowling. So I ran down Rain Street, which is near the front entrance, to try to catch them.
And,
Sorry, hang on.
I want to object to your previous statement.
It's a little late for that, but okay.
You said that, well, I want to object to the sake of fact. So you said, the witness said that the person in green seemed very angry, but nowhere in our sworn affidavit does it say that. It just said that both of them were speaking and then both fighting. It didn't say specifically one person was very angry. It was just arguing.
Why don't you bring that up in cross-examination? Okay.
and what time did you get home?
I got home around 3 a.m. because I had some important special projects the next day.
All right, then you're on.
Cross-examination?
Ms. Huger, where were you at the night of December 31st, 2022?
I went curling first, and then I went to the Jazzy Blues New Year's Eve party then.
And what were you wearing that night?
I was wearing,
Objection, leading question.
It's cross-examination.
I'm crossing.
Right, keep going.
Sorry, I was interrupted. Where were you? What were you wearing that night?
I was wearing a gold crew-neck sweater, black and white striped pants, and some dress shoes, some gray dress shoes.
In your words, you said that Jazzy Blues was extremely busy and loud that night.
I just said it was busy, but
Really, because in your sworn affidavit, you said that the place was very rowdy. That's how you described the area, right?
yeah, like busy. That's kind of how.
And you said it was very loud also. You couldn't hear much.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Now, were you also drinking that night?
Well, I did want a cocktail, but I waited until after that conversation that I mentioned earlier to have a couple drinks. I was just chillaxing.
Right, so you were drinking that night?
Yeah.
Okay, and you weren't exactly keeping count of how many drinks you had, so you can't exactly tell me how many drinks you had, right?
I don't know about that. I don't think I said that anyway.
Right,
But I was
I
counting drinks.
asked, you can't tell me exactly how many drinks you had, correct?
No.
Okay, and you do agree that alcohol can cause people to not remember stuff or see something different, right?
Yes, but I didn't really see much. I just saw an argument. I don't think.
Right, I didn't ask you about the argument. I only asked that alcohol can cause people to misremember stuff or misinterpret stuff, correct?
Okay, sure.
Your Honor, I'd like to submit some evidence.
What is it?
This is the witness's certified criminal record.
Okay. Does the crowd have any objections to this? No, go for it.
Okay, earlier tonight, you had an altercation with the person in green, right?
Yeah.
And this altercation was because you wanted a custom drink and you interrupted Mr. Gomer, who was the person in green, while he was conversing with the bar owner.
Yes, as I said, I waited 10 minutes, and I seemed to be very patient because I just wanted a cocktail, you know.
And this left you annoyed and depressed at Rain Gomer?
A little bit because I thought it was a little bit rude, but not to like any significant degree, no.
Have you been butting into a conversation with Pretty Bird too?
After 10 minutes of waiting, I don't think so. No.
Alright, well, in your statement, you said you exited through the east exit to make some phone calls, correct?
Yes,
And there you saw two people, Avery in red and Dwayne Gomer in green.
that's correct.
And you only said you shot a look at Mr. Gomer, correct?
Yes,
And you'd agree that a look is just a glance, not a focused observation.
I shot a look at the person after I looked at the scene happening in front of me.
You didn't say that to investigators, you said you only shot a look at Mr. Gomer, correct?
Objection. The question restates the evidence. It says in the affidavit, I shot the person in the green shirt, they looked as if to say buzz off, but they were intensely discussing something with the person in the red shirt anyway.
Did you want to rephrase?
And it said the person in the green shirt was pretty upset, and it looked like the person in the red shirt was crying as they spoke.
We can move on. Go ahead. Okay, well, during that time when you were at the east exit, you were preoccupied with making a phone call, so not on them, right?
Well, I went somewhere to try to make a call, but I just saw them, so I went somewhere else.
Okay, and furthermore, you also told investigators you couldn't hear anything they were saying because the place was very rowdy and loud.
You know, I didn't really hear much. I just knew that they were arguing, and that it seemed a little bit intense.
Okay, let's move on to the autopsy report. Okay, let's move on to the autopsy report. In the autopsy report, it says that Avery Lee, fatal injury was caused by a large round circular object to the chest, and you did not see such an object while you were in the east exit, right?
No,
Go for it.
Okay. And you also said that you left the Jazzy Blues bar at 12:45 a.m. exactly, right?
yeah,
No, no
that's when I
further
looked at
questions.
my phone.
No further questions.
Would we kind of like?
Kuja, in your witness statement, nowhere does it mention that you were. Okay. Mr. Garrett, would you just say for the court that at 12:45, or what you were doing at 12:45 when you looked at your watch?
When I looked at my watch, I knew that my Missinaba architects, my colleagues, were going to be doing some late night bowling, so I went down running down Main Street, which was near the front entrance.
I think you're one more question.
Does the Crown have any more witnesses they'd like to call?
No, Your Honor, the Crown rests the case.
In that case, defense, you guys can make your opening.
Yes, ma'am.
Just give them 1 second.
Yeah.
Get organized.
Your Honor, my name is Elsa Sarwar. For the record, this is my co-counsel representing the defense team, Adina Shum, Scary Wu, and Musa Alu. Your Honor and esteemed jury, it is the defense's position that our client, Rain Gomer, is not guilty of a charge of assault with weapon under Section 267 of the Criminal Code, nor consequential manslaughter presented before the court today. Members of the jury, here is a reminder that the Crown bears the entire burden of the proof, and we only intend to show through doubts that they cannot meet it. Between the late hours of Saturday, December 31st and early hours of January 1st, Avery Lee was tragically found dead near the east exit of Jazzy Blues, a cocktail lounge. We acknowledge that on the same night, our accused, Rain Gomer, attended the same establishment. He wore a green turtleneck and brown corduroy pants gifted by his grandmother, clothing entirely consistent with the New Year's themed dress code of gold, blue, red, and green. The color of his clothing is not distinctive by any means. During the events that unfolded that night, the defense will call our first witness, the longtime owner of Jazzy Blues, Blake Benvolio. It is anticipated that you will hear under oath that he witnessed an angry, rude, and impatient customer named Josie Cujo, causing disruption during Blake Benvolio's and Rain Gomer's conversation. Following the night, we anticipate that our witness will testify to discovering the deceased, Avery Lee, at the east exit of Jazzy Blues shortly after the hours of 1:30 a.m.
Importantly, it is also anticipated that Blake Benvolio will testify as someone who has known both Wayne Gomer and Avery Lee for many years, first as a tutor since the pair were in high school, and then as regulars at his bar. We expect he will describe them as so close that they were like two peas in a pod, and that in his long-standing knowledge of Wayne Gomer's character, he will testify that Wayne Gomer is not someone capable of hurting Avery Lee in that sort of way. Our second witness is the accused himself, Wayne Gomer. It is anticipated that he will testify regarding his grievance following the end of his 5-year relationship with Avery Lee, a breakup that led him to attend the New Year's party with his professional association in the first place to clear his mind. It is also anticipated that Gomer will testify to sudden physical violence and assault against him and his subsequent loss of consciousness, all while in the middle of his conversation with Avery Lee. His account aligns with the description of the disruptive individual for conclusion. While the death of Avery Lee is undeniably devastating, we will provide evidence pointing to reasonable doubt regarding Wayne Gomer and his lack of engagement in unlawful violence and intent to harm Avery Lee. Let us remind you, the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt every element of a crime. That Wayne Gomer had an access risk, a prohibited voluntary and physical action against the deceased, and a mens rea, a required guilty mind intended to even hurt Avery Lee. At the conclusion of this trial, we, the defense, will ask that if you find the evidence presented by the prosecution at any point unclear or conflicting or incomplete, then our client, Wayne Gomer, is not guilty of the charges against him. The defense would like to proceed. Thank you.
Okay, call your first one.
Please spell your name to the floor.
GLAKEBENOLIO.
Do you swear that the evidence to be given by you to this court between our sovereign, the king, and the accused shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you agree?
Yeah.
Mr. Benvolio, tell us about yourself and your lounge, please.
Jazzy Blues used to be owned by it's a family business. So my dad passed it down to me 20 years ago. It's located on 310 Range Street, and it's in a hot spot in town. So a lot of customers accumulate there every day.
What kind of relationship do you have with your customers?
I love my customers. I love my new customers. I love my old customers. If they respect the place, respect the people, I'll gladly make it drink as fast as I can.
Do you know Avery Lee and Gomer?
Yes, I do know Avery Lee and Ray Gomer. In fact, I was really close with them when I was like in my 30s.
How did you come to know them?
I used to work at this tutoring academy called Mary Pasta Excellence Academy, and they signed up. So then I ended up getting chosen as their tutor.
What were they like when you tutored them?
Just like everyone else, they have their things they like and things they dislike. Avery Lee liked to do geography, but she wasn't really the best at math, and she needed help with it. And Ray Gomer, he liked to do visual arts, but he wasn't the best in chemistry.
Can you tell us about Avery's relationship to Ray?
Avery Lee and Ray Gomer were really close. As she said, there were two peas in a pod. They were friends since high school, and they came occasionally in the Jazzy Blues on Saturday.
Can you tell us about your annual New Year's Eve party?
Second.
Can you tell us about your annual New Year's Eve party?
Oh yeah, our New Year's Eve party is actually a big thing for Jazzy Blues. It's something that happens almost every year annually. We ask of people to wear the colors red, green, blue, and gold. But yeah, it's hosted for professional associations, and it hosts food, dancing, live music, and drinking.
What was the dress code for the evening?
Oh, red, blue, green, and gold.
Okay. Tell us about Avery's behavior on the night of New Year's Eve.
Avery was like every normal person, hanging out, like talking to people. But one thing I did notice was Avery and Ray were sort of distancing from each other, and yeah, it seemed like they'd broken up from my observations of what was happening.
What time did Avery arrive?
Avery arrived around 11 p.m.
When did you first see Rain that night?
I didn't see when Rain actually entered the bar, but Rain was in the cocktail lounge around like 11:35, so 35 minutes after I saw it.
So tell me about your interaction with Rain.
I didn't actually interact with Rain until he went to the sofas in the lounge around like 11:45. We were just talking and having normal civilized conversations.
Can you describe the interactions you saw Rain happen?
Say that again?
The interactions you saw Rain happen.
Okay, so I was talking to Rain, right? And then all of a sudden, some person in gold interrupted me out of nowhere, right? It's so disrespectful, but like that's a fact. And then Rain Gomer obviously mouthed off Goldie, just like any normal person would, because he interrupted our conversation. And like I told him to simmer down, and because after I told him to simmer down, I slowly started mixing his drink while giving him like a dirty look. So it's like, who does that? Like honestly, like, and who orders a custom cocktail at W? And yeah, it's not like I don't like taking care of my customers. It's like just really like I just don't like the way he talks to me. Like really rude. In fact, it was more than rude, if anything, right? And yeah, after I finished making before that, he started getting really mad, and he couldn't let the drinking go, and he just kept on getting more frustrated. And like, I've dealt with impatient customers in the past, but the thing was, he was overreacting to an extent where it genuinely like started being really frustrating for us as well. And like, after I finished making the drink, and he was nowhere to be seen, as well as Rain Gomer's self script, and he was going to escalate.
Okay. Later in the night, what did you do around 1:30 a.m.?
I'm gonna go throw out the garbage.
Okay. And when you went to take out the garbage, what did you find?
I saw Avery Lee's body on the floor with blood all over her upper body, midsection, and her head.
Okay. Can you tell us about the location where she was found?
She was found at the east exit. And not a lot of people know where that is, except for like regulars.
Okay. So are there any cameras in the area?
No, there wasn't cameras in the area because they recently broke down, and I was thinking about getting them fixed soon.
And how did Rain seem to feel about the breakup of the store?
He was more sad than mad. I don't think Rain would ever do something like this. Like, I couldn't imagine him ever doing anything like this.
Thank you.
I'd like to cross cameras.
That's okay.
Oh.
Okay, Mr. Benvolio, you're the owner of Jackson Blues Cocktail Bar.
For 20 years, yeah.
And it's like a family business passed down from your father.
Yep.
You also know Avery Lee, the victim, and Rain Gomer personally since you treated them back in high school.
Yep.
And would you agree that Avery was a more responsible, level-headed
Yes.
one, while Rain was more mischievous? Okay.
Yes, but never mind. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
No, I'm not gonna say. Chill, brother.
Now, New Year's Eve is a big night at your lounge, right? You host
Yeah.
a dinner, a dance, and guests are encouraged to wear red, blue, green, and gold.
Yes.
So Avery arrived around 11 p.m. that night wearing a red dress shirt. She was sociable, playing pool, but you notice her keeping her distance, right?
Yeah.
Who is she keeping her distance from?
Rain Gomer.
And while you said they were like two peas in a pod, you know about the relationship, right?
Yep.
Yeah, what happened?
They used to be really close in high school, and they came to me for tutoring. They were just friends, and then they even came to
What are the relationship like now?
right now. They've broken up based on my observations.
So while Rain seemed focused on Avery that night, Avery was trying to avoid them, is that correct?
Yeah.
And everywhere that Avery would go, Rain would try to follow?
Something like that, but not in like a weird stalker way. I don't think.
So around 11:45 p.m., you're speaking of Rain when someone in gold sweater asked for a custom cocktail.
Yes.
And Rain didn't respond well to that interruption either, right?
Say that again?
Rain didn't respond well to that interruption.
Yeah, but like any normal person wouldn't, because they interrupt the conversation.
Yeah, no one else would. But what did he do? What did Rain do?
What did Rain do? He was just melting them off, and I told him to sit down.
Yeah, so Rain mouthed them off, and you have to tell Rain to simmer down, didn't you? Because he was getting irritated.
Yeah.
And you intentionally gave that gold person, the person in gold, a slower service because he found them rude. Is that also?
Well, he asked for a custom.
Did you give him a slower service? Yes or no?
Yes, because he.
Now, Mr. Benvolio, you've had to calm Rain down before, haven't you? He could get worked up pretty quickly.
Yeah, but in this situation, it's like pretty different.
So it's fair to say Rain can react in a hot-headed way when frustrated or emotionally charged. Is that also correct?
Yeah.
So,
Speculation.
Ask the question.
so it's fair to say Rain can act hot-headed in a way when he's frustrated.
So answer based on your observations.
Yes. After that interaction, you haven't seen both Rain and the person in gold sweater after you left the area, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you have no idea where Rain went for that stretch of time?
No.
Let's move on when you found Avery. You located Avery outside by the east exit at about 1:30, is that correct?
Yeah.
With blood on the clothing and all that?
Yeah.
And you called 911?
Immediately.
So you testified that the east exit is not a public facing door. Did the regulars know about it?
Yeah. Mostly regulars know about it.
And what does it lead to?
It leads to a garbage bin and recycling bin. Like there's nothing special there.
And what did you say happened to your security cameras?
It broke down recently, and I was thinking about getting them fixed very, very soon.
So you had no ability to see who went in and out that exit, is that correct?
Yeah.
And because you're running the event, like serving drinks, handling customers, and dealing with the crowd, you weren't monitoring the exits or tracking people close to you.
Not really. Just they released some crap.
So you didn't actually see anyone leave toward that east exit before you found Avery?
No.
And you can't say how long Avery was outside before you constructed.
No, I would not know.
Now you also testified that you couldn't imagine Rain ever harming Avery because you know him since high school, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you're closer to Rain than you were to Avery?
That one is no, not really. Like I know them both people.
Okay, but you admitted that you were somewhat biased to Rain, kind of saying that, oh, I can never picture him doing this. Is that right?
Objection. There's an improper foundation.
That's how you know.
You're closely.
You're objecting on the wrong question.
So the question that was asked doesn't answer. Yeah?
So Mr. Benbow, given your personal feelings for
Hugo, did you want to repeat that question? The last one?
not here yet.
Keep on.
So Mr. Benvolio, given your personal feelings toward Rain, your emotional connection, the broken cameras, and the fact that you didn't witness anything at all, is it fair to say your observations are limited and not entirely neutral?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure.
No further questions, sir.
Does the defense want to read that?
Mr. Benvolio, on cross-examination, you were asked about your relationship with Rain. Can you explain how you try to treat all customers at Jazzy Blues, regardless of their sincere?
As I said, I love all my customers, and he was a regular. I don't treat regulars or new customers any different. And I said before, as long as they respect the place, respect the people, and like respect me, I'll serve them as fast as I can. But the way Goldie, you know, was rude with everything, I didn't really respect it that much.
And there were questions about you being biased or giving slower service to the person in the goal. Can you explain how his behavior came across to you at the time?
Repeat that question, please.
So, when you interacted with Cross, they asked you how you gave slower service to the person in the gold sweater. So can you explain how the gold sweater individual came across to you at the time?
So he came and interrupted me and Gomer, right? And he demanded a personal cocktail. And we're at Jazzy Blues, who ordered the personal cocktail, and the way he asked for it was in a really, really rude manner that I didn't really want to put up with it. And it's like, I said already, I've dealt with really patient customers, but this was like over the top. And he started overreacting after over some drink. So that's.
No further questions.
Thank you.
Does the defense want to call their second witness?
Can you spell out your names? Do you swear that the evidence to be given by you to this court between our sovereign, the king, and the accused shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you yourself?
My name is Gomer.
How old are you and where do you live?
I was born in the year of 1995, and I live at 101 Eastside Avenue in Mariposa.
How do you know Avery Lee?
Me and Avery, we go way back. I've known her since I can remember. We've been friends since we were kids and started dating around 5 years ago.
How would you describe your relationship with Avery Lee?
Well, I really cared about her, right? So whenever I did something dumb, she would always tell me how she felt. She would tell me to smarten up. I could tell that she also really cared about me. And I owe her a lot for putting up with me.
What was happening in your relationship leading up to December 31st?
Well, around 2 weeks before the New Year's party in Jazzy Blues, me and Avery got into a really serious argument. It was really bad, so she left a note telling us that we were done, and she moved out of our apartment and took her stuff.
How were you feeling after this breakup?
I was feeling really heartbroken. I didn't take it that well, to be honest, I must admit. I was feeling sad, angry, bitter. I just didn't feel like talking about it with anybody, to be honest. I just wish I didn't take advantage of forgiveness so often.
Why did you go to Jazzy Blues that night?
If I'm being honest, I just really wanted to see Avery. I don't usually go with my professional association to the New Year's party at Jazzy Blues, but I figured it'd be a really good chance I could catch Avery there, so this time I tagged along.
What were you wearing then?
I was wearing a green shirt that was gifted to me by my friend from university, and brown pants that was gifted to me by my grandma.
Did you approach Avery right away or did you wait?
I tried to. I did make contact very briefly, but it was obvious that she was avoiding. She made an excuse and maybe sit alone.
Can you tell us what happened with your arm?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can you tell us what happened with your arm?
So I arrived around 11:30 p.m. I was drinking, and I remember that I was talking to the owner of the establishment. I was talking to Blake, and while we were talking, I remember that there's this crazy gold guy. He was like, maniac. He was desperately asking for his drink. He was really rude, interrupting our conversation.
What did you do after that exchange?
Well, I didn't really think much of that exchange. I was more focused on Avery. I noticed Avery, and I followed her to the east exits.
What happened when you went out to the east exit?
I went to the east exit and I caught up to Avery before she could leave the lounge. And there I just thought it was a really good chance to try to talk to her and explain my behavior and talk about us.
While you were having this emotional conversation with Avery, did anything suddenly happen?
Well, I do distinctly remember that the east exit door suddenly opened while I was talking to her. And then someone came at me. And I didn't get a good look at her face, but because it was so dark. But I do think it was the old guy from one. This guy was unhinged. This guy really wanted his drink. I could tell they were still kind of mad about the earlier altercation. And second, they're around the same height. And third, I caught a bit of gold when they came at me.
Do you remember what happened after that?
So this guy, he punched me, they punched me, and then they swung something huge and round at me, which I did manage to dodge, but that was about it before I blacked out. The last thing I remember seeing was Avery outside the corner of my eye, and then all faded to black.
So that's what you remember after you were struck?
Yes, so after I was struck, I completely just remember nothing, right? Between that time, and then the last thing I remember was after that, I remember waking up at my home. I came to at my home. The police were at my door, and I checked the mirror, and my jaw, it was all bruised. I honestly just have no recollection of what happened after I blacked out, seeing it in front of my eye. I don't even know how I got home.
Right. Mr. Gomer, I'll ask you once again, did you cause the death of Avery?
No. I could never cause the death of Avery. She was such a great person. I loved her so much. The truth is, I want to find the true killer and found as well.
Objection, Your Honor, the question has been asked and answered.
No, overruled. Any more questions?
No further questions.
Would you like to cross-examine?
Mr. Gomer, you had a romantic relationship with Avery Lee that lasted 5 years, correct?
Correct.
And that relationship ended 2 weeks ago after a heated argument at your apartment.
Yes.
And Avery was the one who broke up with you, correct?
We broke up.
And you didn't take her breaking up with you very well, so you were sad and angry.
That was true. I was upset about the situation.
Now, Avery, she was always good to you, wasn't she? She was calm and composed, and even during the violent outbursts, she just let you smarten up.
Wait, can you repeat that?
Avery was always good to you, wasn't she? She never raised her voice at you and was always calm and composed, even during your outbursts.
She was. That's true. She was very patient.
And you believe you took advantage of Avery's forgiveness.
Yeah, I did a lot of tons of stupid things.
Do you consider yourself a violent person, Mr. Gomer?
Not at all.
But you do have a prior history of physical assaults against girlfriends, don't you, Mr. Gomer?
Could you elaborate on that?
Is it true in 2015 you were convicted of aggravated assault after you left your girlfriend who you were living with at the time with bruises all over the left side of your face?
That is true.
And because of that, you spent 6.5 weeks in jail, which included a 14-month probation.
Which I managed to complete successfully.
On Saturday, December 31st, you went out to a New Year's party at Jazzy Blues, correct?
That is true.
Now, your friends, they go every year. It's an annual tradition, but you usually don't.
My professional association, yeah.
This year, you decided to go, though, because you knew Avery Lee was going to be there, even though she had already broken up with you 2 weeks ago.
Yes, it is true.
Now, when you tried to talk to Avery, she kept avoiding you. She didn't want to talk to you.
Yes.
At this point, Mr. Gomer, you were pretty drunk, weren't you?
I did have a bit to drink.
And this was when you went into an altercation with one of the architects, Sophie Kudo, correct?
You mean the gold guy? Yeah.
Yes. And this is when you threatened to knock her out at first at her.
I did. It is true that I may have said some things that I regret. I was drunk and I wasn't thinking straight, but yeah.
And this is when you also waved a clenched fist in her direction and told her that, quote, she didn't know who she was dealing with.
Perhaps that's true.
Now, at this point, Avery had ran out of the east exit of the building and you ran after her, correct?
Ran. I followed her.
Walked. Now, this is when something caught your attention outside and you were punched, correct?
Yeah.
Now, to be very clear, it was dark, so you didn't actually have a clear view of the perpetrator.
That's true, but I did catch the gold. That I know.
Now, you claim the person who punched you must have been the same person from inside because they were the same height and also wearing gold, correct?
That's true.
Are you aware that alcohol impairs your eyes' ability to react to light and lowers your eyes' sensitivity? So you could have easily missed what you actually saw.
I saw gold.
And you said the thing, Mr. Gomer, because you were very drunk, your perception of height and color shades could have been altered.
Call for speculation.
Agreed.
You say the attacker swung at you with something big and round, but luckily you moved out of the way.
Yes.
Mr. Gomer, are you aware of the fact that Miss Lee's DNA was found on your turtleneck?
Now I am.
So you were able to dodge the object that was swung at you, but her DNA still ended up on your clothes.
I have no idea how that could have happened.
When you checked yourself in the mirror next morning, you noticed your jaw was swollen, something you didn't know before, correct?
Yeah.
So you were so drunk that when you were punched in the face and your jaw swelled up, you don't even remember that happening.
Call for speculation again.
That's based on his opinion, so I'm gonna overrule that one.
Could you repeat that?
I'll move on. Mr. Gomer, what side of your face was punched by this supposed attacker?
Side of my face. I honestly can't really remember. I do know that the right side of my jaw was the side out. But I guess it was the right side of my jaw.
You told the police someone came at you from your left side, but there was only bruising on the right side of your face.
That is, yeah, so that.
You were aware that you were the last person seen with Avery before she was murdered.
Listing the evidence in Gomer's statement, he also says that he felt he was punched multiple times.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, after I blacked out, anything could have happened to me. I didn't know that there were tons of punches. My jaw was really messed up.
But you didn't notice until the next morning, correct?
Yeah, because I blacked out.
You were aware that you were the last person seen with Avery before she was murdered, correct?
Where, I mean, as far as I know, all I did was follow her to the east exit. I'm not sure what anyone else saw.
Besides yourself, who was very intoxicated and lacked clear judgment, no one else saw this mystery attacker except for you, correct?
That I don't know. I just know that I saw him.
So considering the only witness who was you was Avery, considering the fact that she changed her story to the police and had only gone into a physical altercation the same night, is it fair to say that perhaps your judgment may not be the best here?
I must admit my memory is foggy, but I do believe what I've said is accurate.
After this, you blacked out and you were left sleeping in the alley, correct? Or you were knocked out in the alley.
I was blacked out and I have no idea what happened.
But you woke up the next morning inside your own apartment and you have no idea how you got there.
That is true.
So you were so drunk that when you were passed out outside, you miraculously made it back to your apartment and you have no idea how you got there.
That is true. I'm also bothered by it. I don't know. It bothers me that I don't know what's going on.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Would the defense like to agree with that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Gomer, when you were with Avery at the East Exit, were you alone?
Initially, I was until the store opened and someone unknown came attacking me.
So there was someone present with you?
Yes,
Who came at you in that moment?
I believe it was the gold guy from the altercation from earlier.
What made you believe that if that same gold guy from inside the bar?
Same height. The guy was unhinged. He was crazy. I could tell that this guy was still mad about the drinking incident. Also, I saw gold.
What was he attacking you with?
He attacked me with something huge and round.
Did you lose consciousness after being struck?
After I was punched, I dodged a huge round thing. I blacked out after seeing the corner of my eye as the last thing.
Is there a reason you don't remember the rest of the night because you were knocked out and not because you're hiding?
Objection needed.
Great, we'll move on. Even after the breakup, how did you feel about Avery?
I still loved her, and when I said I was angry, I didn't really mean angry at Avery. I was just angry about the situation and how I blew a great relationship with the person I loved the most.
Does the defense have any more witnesses they want to?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon once again, Your Honor and esteemed jury. My name is Elsa Sarwar, and I will be providing a summation for the defense's case. Before I begin, let it be clear that the death of Avery Lee is undeniably tragic, but this is exactly what pushes the defense to not allow for another injustice to occur. The defense's position is clear. To prosecute Rain Gomer on the grounds presented before us would be a grievance against our system and in of itself a miscarriage of justice. Because let us remind ourselves of the Crown's obligations. What they had to do versus what they achieved. Prosecution had the role of proving beyond a reasonable doubt that Rain Gomer was guilty. Importantly, this verdict is based on two things. One, an actus reus, where Rain Gomer voluntarily committed an unlawful act against Avery Lee. And two, a mens rea, that Rain Gomer intended to cause bodily harm to someone he loved. We, the defense, would like to reiterate why that was not the case. Across the testimonies of the witnesses, we have established Rain Gomer and the deceased Avery Lee as close individuals since high school. They were not enemies, two peas in a pod, as Blake Benvolio put it. We also hear how this breakup was painful, yes, but this pain did not manifest itself into anger towards her or violence. Rather, Rain Gomer was upset and reflective, trying his hardest to make amends, explaining his push towards merely trying to converse with Avery Lee. And critically, the only act of violence testified to was the assault against Rain Gomer himself, with bruises indicating multiple blows and description of the attacker consistent with the disruptive, impatient patron, Joe Cujo. Undeniably, the Crown has presented arguments based on superficial grounds and selective interpretations, neither of which are sufficient enough to risk an innocent person's prosecution. The Crown argued on multiple of these conjectures, none of which established a clear actus reus or mens rea. 1. Green fabric found near the crime scene means nothing to a party with dozens of people wearing the exact same color. It carries no probative value when it was not something exclusive to the accused. And even if the Crown connected this fabric to Rain Gomer, and that is a big if, the defense doesn't deny his presence near the East Exit anyways. Moreover, a belief that an emotional man who is, for the record, more upset than angry, as said by Blake Benvolio, would even hurt someone that's as close to him as Avery Lee is merely an assumption, and the law does not criminalize emotions or sadness. Furthermore, the Crown's attempt to undermine Rain Gomer's testimony by claiming his later presence at his home ignores the reality that a blackout can refer to a temporary loss of memory, not necessarily a loss of consciousness, something completely reasonable given the circumstances of assault. The point is that anything could have happened. And the suggestion that Rain Gomer must be responsible just because he was a regular customer who knew about the East Exit is not grounded in evidence. After all, Josie Cujo knew about the East Exit too. Knowledge shared by several individuals should not be used as exclusive evidence against one. The prosecution would also point to forensic evidence against Gomer, suggesting that Avery Lee's blood was on Rain Gomer's garments. But this analysis does not mean there's a clear link between Rain Gomer and the cause of death. It just links two people who experienced violence in that same area. To add on, a previous criminal record as evidence goes against the very premise of our justice system to rehabilitate. Rain Gomer was cooperative during that process and admitted to his mistakes and acknowledged his mistakes. And no, Rain Gomer being the last one seen with Avery Lee, while a true fact, is also merely an absence of observation for everything that came after that. Especially when physically no one from inside the lounge could have observed anything once the pair had stepped outside. And Your Honor, we have seen the lead investigator disregard objectivity and evidence like the gold fabric. This is a misconduct of justice, displaying tunnel vision against Rain Gomer. A flawed investigation cannot be used as grounds of evidence. Your Honor and esteemed jury, the law demands certainty before taking away a person's liberty. The Crown has not offered certainty. They've offered maybes, might haves, and inferences, and the law does not convict based on conjectures. These are not enough to let an innocent man be prosecuted. In conclusion, Your Honor, it is respectfully submitted by the defense that the Crown has failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rain Gomer is responsible physically and mentally for the charges against him. We ask Your Honor for a verdict of not guilty. Thank you.
Would the Crown like to make their closing statements?
Yes, Your Honor. Good honor, good afternoon, Your Honor, members of the jury. My name is Hugo, and I'll be giving the closing statement for the Crown. The accused Rain Gomer is charged with causing the death of Avery Lee by committing an unlawful act, assault with a weapon which leads to manslaughter. The Crown submits that we have proven this charge beyond a reasonable doubt. I'm not here to lecture you guys. I want to keep it straight to the point with the evidence that we have proved today in court. We first heard from Detective Sergeant Jorah Augustus, a highly experienced officer. He described she found outside the east exit of Jazzy Blues, where Avery Lee was discovered with serious injuries to her head and chest after tripping over the pipes. She told us about the physical evidence at the scene, the green fabric, and the frying pan with dried blood, all these items which lead to Rain Gomer. She also confirmed that Rain Gomer was the last person to be seen with Avery that night, and that only a few regulars know about the east exit. Her evidence gave us solid groundwork of what happens next. Next, we heard from Dofi Cujo. She saw Rain inside the lounge and witnessed the aggressive outburst. Already upset after the breakup, Rain reacted with threats and suggested sudden anger towards a stranger who simply asked for a drink. This wasn't normal frustration, this was explosive behavior. Her testimony shows exactly the kind of emotional state Rain was in after the breakup. Angry, unstable, and ready to lash out. It helped us understand what Rain was capable of when his emotions took over. Then we heard from Blake Benvolio, the owner of Jazzy Blues. He confirmed that Avery was trying to avoid Rain all night, while Rain kept trying to follow her. He also explained that the east exit was little known and the security cameras were broken, meaning no one can confirm who left or what. Although Mr. Benvolio cares about Rain and said that he can't imagine Rain ever committing harm, he also admitted that his personal feelings might affect how he sees things. His testimony actually supports us, Crown. Rain had the perfect chance to slip out the hidden exit with Avery, unseen by anyone else. Finally, we heard from the accused himself, Rain Gomer. In his own words, he admitted to having a history of violence, including a past conviction for assaulting a former partner, and he also admitted that he was very angry, emotional, and heavily intoxicated that night. He tried to explain his events by saying a mysterious stranger came and attacked me. But the story doesn't add up. Avery's DNA was still found on his clothing. His timeline doesn't make sense. And more questions he was asked, the more unclear his answers became. Rather than giving clarity, his testimony raised serious doubts about what really happened that night. When we look at everything together, the picture is unmistakable. Rain Gomer had motive. He had anger, jealousy, and heartbreak after the breakup. He also had opportunity. He was the last person seen with Avery, and he knew only about the hidden exit that no one else did. And also the camera's broken. Finally, he had a clear capacity for violence, shown through his past behavior, his actions inside the lounge, and his unstable anger that night. These are not all random coincidences. These pieced together to fit into a single clear story. And that story is Rain Gomer's anger and actions led to the death of Avery Lee. Your Honor, the Crown respectfully submits that all this evidence proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Rain Gomer is guilty of manslaughter. Thank you.
I'll get you guys to head over. And just that grace, can you close the door? So you guys have about 7 or 8 minutes to figure this out. I'll call back in.
Because I just, like he said, like his storage didn't add up. Like at one point he said he got hit multiple times, but then he got only has a armors on the right side, and then it was like he got hit on the left side, and then he has like a history of like, I guess, yeah, assault with like girlfriends and stuff.
Wait, I want to know if we should hold that against him. If we, because the witness also has a criminal record, and like the whole point of habilitation is that, okay, I also think that he's guilty, but I don't know if this is a piece of evidence we should hold against him.
Wait, who's it gonna be on like for?
I think the defense is really mature.
But I just think the defense had an excellent opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's been crossed.
On outside? Oh, okay. Okay, I really liked Cross on the crowd side.
I did too.
Yeah, I think so.
So we all agree that he's guilty.
Yeah.
Why do you not think he's guilty? Why do you think he's not guilty?
Well, I feel like the story, I feel like it was like, there could have been like a chance that like physical assault, and then like, I don't know, just
The gold person did attack.
Wait, are we searching that the gold person was the same person? Because in their witness, they say that they didn't see a round, like the weapon, in their statement.
But it's like, I think it's inferred that it's the same.
Then what's going on? So are they
Can
lying?
we infer that?
yeah, there's someone's definitely lying, like that's for sure.
Well, obviously, yeah. I don't think the person involved has sufficient motive to kill Avery.
Yeah.
Why would they kill Avery?
Exactly. Like the gold person did attack, right? That's true. But like, why would the DNA of Avery appear on Rain's?
Yeah.
Totally.
They didn't even talk to Avery.
Exactly.
And I think Rain did have a very good motive to kill Avery.
The great
They
dog.
just were dumb. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's drunk. So.
Hey, do you guys want to vote? Like, does everyone agree with that?
Okay, let's do a vote. All in favor of guilty? Raise your hands. Okay, great. Real jury decision.
Okay. The follow-up is, I'm gonna ask you to explain why you found him guilty.
Oh, am I doing
We'll start with you, Jess, if you're the fourth person in the jury, but it'd be nice to have a couple more voices. So if other people want to share, why?
I thought you said you don't want that.
I don't want to hold that against you.
Maybe not, that's all.
No, but, okay.
But just because that didn't convince Jess doesn't mean it didn't convince other people.
It convinced me.
It convinced me.
Okay, I'll say it.
And Jess, you can just kind of share what you felt, and then I'll open it up. We'll hopefully get a couple more voices in it. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, so when they come in, you're not making any sounds or whatever. And Jess, I'll cue you into. Like, you're supposed to get to bring them back in here.
All right,
Oh, this one? Oh, yeah, this one.
Put my arm on the wrong side.
Turn it over.
It's a little risky if you're not left. Okay, bring it back in.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Come on and find seats. So, has the jury reached a verdict?
Yeah.
I think I'm confused rise. Wayne Gomer, you stand charged that on or about the 31st day of December 2022 in the city of Mariposa and the city of Missinaba committed an awful act, to wit, assault with a weapon, causing the death of Avery Lee, thereby committing manslaughter contrary to section 236 of the criminal code. How does the jury find?
Guilty.
And that's the end of the trial. Congratulations, everyone. You guys can say. So, in a field at this point, we would move on to sentencing. And that would be the end of it. We would hear the jury's deliberations, but seeing as how this is theater and it's more fun, Jess, do you want to explain why the decision is good?
Although the defense case has very compelling certain points, including the opening and the closing statement, we found that the Crown's case and especially the cross-examination revealed certain inconsistencies with the defense's position. So, for example, we bought the Crown's story that Ray, with his past history of violence and aggressive behavior, with the defense's own witnesses testifying that he does have tendencies to be angry and aggressive, coupled with his present behavior against the person in gold who allegedly just wanted a drink and did not seem to be acting in a way that demanded such a violent response. We found that, this on top of the fact that he had recently broken up with, Avery, and we found that this proved to be sufficient fuel, coupled with his aggressive tendencies, in order for him to commit a crime, even if this crime was emotionally charged.
Someone else want to add on?
I think that the defense presented this idea that the person gold maybe was responsible, but I do not personally see enough motive for that or reason that could have ever occurred.
Yeah, while they try to portray that the person in gold killed Avery, that doesn't explain how Avery's DNA appeared on rings.
Can I explain that? Can I just say that? Like, listen, like, she got hurt and so did Rain Gomer. Rain Gomer had bruising, so maybe, like, of course his blood was also there, but maybe, like, while he was unconscious, like, there's some cross-contamination with Avery's blood as
Why
well.
would they kill Avery?
And Ray's story.
Sorry?
Why would they kill
How's Avery
No
dead?
witnesses.
There's no, like...
Well, how is Avery dead? How do you think? Why
I
is
think
Avery
the
dead?
issue that
Yeah.
the jury has is that was they were trying to figure out what the alternative story was. So if it wasn't Rain Gomer who killed this individual in the alley, how did Avery end up dead?
But that's not the point of the case, though. The Crown just has to prove that Rain Gomer was guilty. And Hugo said in his closing, there's a lot of doubts in the case. I think that kind of proves that, you know, if there are doubts, then maybe like if there's a reasonable doubt, then, you know, the Crown does not have enough of evidence, like, grounds.
Also, I didn't get to it. Also, yeah, but I want to explain it, because, I mean, we're having a conversation.
Go ahead.
You guys want, good job,
yeah,
but I just want to explain it, right? Unfortunately, I didn't get to the part in my cross-examination, but I also wanted to say that Goldie or Dofi Cujo, right, also played rugby, so they were notably strong, I'd say, and they also had a criminal record, which I did present, of assault with a weapon, which was much more recent than Mr. Gomer's criminal record, which was in 2015, which was 7 years ago.
So that did come up in the jury deliberation, because there were a couple of people who were kind of wavering. And one of the things that was brought up was the fact that both individuals who could have committed the offense had prior history of violence.
Yeah, but I think like Leslie just said, it's like all about rehabilitation. So you can't really blame like
So, but you're gonna blame Rain Gomer for past assault
on his girlfriend? Yeah.
Okay, that's bad. That's bad.
Like not just the prior
No,
assault, the like main assault that or he was not the nicest to Avery at sometimes too. Like he would like Avery have to like keep
So I think both sides did a really good job. In fact, overall, I would say excellent job by the Crown, excellent job by the defense. Those were excellent deliberations. Excellent job of timing, because I will tell you that this is probably the hardest job in the whole trial. But that was really, really well put together, and I will say congratulations to both sides and the jury and the jury. My expectation
expectations are even higher for tomorrow.
It's gonna be good. That was a lot.